Those of you who may have cell phones with you, I would ask if you would please silence them. Roll call?
Yes, so then we have David Kent,
Yeah?
Stephanie Halter, excused this evening, Peter Julia, also excused this evening, Malik Hammond,
Here.
Frederick Kelsey,
Here.
and Tom McLaughlin is also excused this evening. So we do have 3 members, which is a quorum. So we are all set as far as having a quorum, though we do, of course, still need 3 votes to make any affirmative decision on a case or on a motion.
You folks here for the hospital issue? Okay. I want to explain to you that we normally would have 5 people, and tonight we'll only have 3. One is stuck in an airport, another one's sick, and the alternate can't be here. So we go forward with the 3. The good news is you've got 3, but the bad news is it requires 3 votes for an affirmative vote on anything that we may vote on. So I'd ask you if you want to continue this to another month, or you want to go ahead with the 3 of us that you've got here tonight.
We'd like to proceed because we are.
That's fine, I
Go
just...
to the planning board after this, so.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, so.
So on the record, the proponents have agreed to go forward with the group of 3. I'm going to suggest that we take item 3 and deal with it after we, just before new business and proceed to number 4, applications and public hearing. All right?
Agreed.
I had a chance to visit with Joseph because of the voluminous package that we got to try to ferret out what it is we really have to deal with versus what's in the huge packet. And I've asked Joseph if he would simply guide us through the 3 individual items that we're going to deal with so we don't get mired down in stuff that we really don't have to decide. It had nothing to do with us. So where will we begin, Joseph?
Yeah, so there are, as you said, a few different items on the as a part of this request to the zoning board. The first one, and the one where it likely makes sense to begin, though certainly the discretion of the board, would be a special exception request to convert an existing office building at 44 Langdon Street to a 3-unit multifamily building in the civic institutional zone. Multifamily of not more than 6 units is permitted by special exception, so it does fall into that category. If you look on page 3 of the staff report, you'll find the special exception criteria 1204.2 is what that's listed as.
Okay, hang on just a minute. Which packet is that?
So this is the one that is titled the staff report application for special exception and variance and dated December 30th.
Page 3 we go to.
Yep, page 3. So that's where you'll find 1204.2 has a list of the standard 6 special exception criteria. Special exceptions for multifamily also have some additional criteria out of section 1204.3A. So that is listed in the next section down below 1204.2. So those criteria do need to be met in addition to the standard special exception criteria for a multifamily use.
Okay, thank you. And it goes over onto page 4.
It does.
All right. Is there someone who's going to present issues? Okay, I'd like you to limit yourself to just at this point, to just the building that you want to convert. Go right ahead. Name for the record.
So, good evening. My name is Michelle McEwen. I'm the CEO of Spear Memorial Hospital. Thank you for being here tonight. The issue we're asking for a special exemption for is a building that we purchased in 1995. At that time, it was a residence with an attached apartment. We converted it to office space. Initially, Dr. Skebetta's orthopedic practice, and after that, we used it for our billing office, accounting office, and those types of support staff. The environment has changed, and we've been able to consolidate a number of those individuals up at the hospital campus or one of our other buildings Also, some of the work is now being done remote, so we no longer need that building for office space. We'd like to be able to use it for another need we have, which is transitional and temporary housing. There's a healthcare workforce shortage. Recruitment is very challenging. In some of these situations, we're using contract staff. So they're from an agency, from a different part of the country, that come and do a 13-week assignment. And then they can re-up for another 13 weeks. We're having issues in that when these people choose to come here for an assignment, they can't find a place to live that's affordable. They get a housing stipend and can't find anything. We had 10 individuals back out of their agreements this past year because they could not find a place to live. In addition to that, that's sort of the temporary housing. The transitional piece is for individuals that we actually do recruit. Again, we're facing a very similar situation where we have individuals, in fact, I had 2 physician assistants this past year, accept a job with Spear, sign a contract, tried to relocate here, and could not find a home. We'd like to be able to offer them a home for 6 months or whatever it may take for them to be able to find a home so that we can fill some really critical positions at the hospital. So our plan is to convert this into 3 apartments. There'll be 2 on the first floor and a second one on the second floor. 2 will be 1-bedroom apartments. The second one will be a 2-bedroom apartment. These are close by the hospital. We've consolidated that lot with our other lots that are all adjacent to it. So their parking will be right in the employee parking lot. That's right next door to that building right now. And I believe it does meet the requirement for lot size with the lot merger that was done. Is there any other information that I can share with you?
Any questions? Is there signage on the exterior, or will there be signage on the exterior of the building?
It'll just have an address like 44 Langdon Street.
Will the ramp remain?
Yes, because we will be making one of those units handicapped accessible.
Okay.
Everything seems pretty lined up.
Okay. Let's, no questions? Okay, there are no questions from the group. You can have a seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go through the criteria. On page 3, they are listed, and then there's additional special exception criteria that apply in this particular case. The first is the proposed use shall be only those allowed in this ordinance by special exception. What section of the ordinance applies in that regard?
Section 304, Table of Uses, lists multi-family residential up to 6 units as permitted by special exception in the CI zone.
Okay. Let the minutes reflect that. The specific site is an appropriate location and adequate size for the use. Any comments?
No comments.
Well, I think we should note that they own the huge parking lot that's right next door to it. So parking certainly will not be a problem, and lot size is certain, they've merged it, so there is no lot size issue. Is that also correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I think we should also put in the note, as was offered, that this originally was a residential building, and now it's being converted from offices back to the residential purposes. However, a new unit is being added. The use as developed will not adversely affect the character of the area in which its proposed use will be located. Fred?
Agreed.
It's next to the Catholic Rectory, and the only other residential use is Belknap Hall, which is across the road. So I think the answer to that is clear. There'll be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. Is there a sidewalk on that side?
I believe there is. I will check the map, but I believe that is correct.
I don't believe there
I
is.
don't
I
think
believe
there
the
is.
sidewalk's
There's a-
on the other side.
On the other
Yes,
side.
there is a sidewalk on Langdon Street, but let me check the side of the street. I am not certain.
Okay.
Are there any barriers between the parking lot and the,
Ramp.
well, or the entrance? That would be the only potential concern.
Yes, so there is a walkway from the parking lot to the ramp that accesses this building, but the sidewalk, as you noted, is on the other side of Langdon
There's
Street,
a
the town
walkway
sidewalk.
between the parking lot.
There appears to be a walkway between the parking lot and the ramp that goes to the entrance.
Are you looking at the photos provided?
I'm actually at this time looking at the map of the just aerial imagery
Okay.
of the property.
The use will not place excessive or undue burden on the town services or facilities? I can't think of any. And there'll be no significant effect resulting from such use upon the public health, safety, and general welfare of the neighborhood. Any comments on that? I think we should make a positive comment that the general welfare of the community might be enhanced if they can recruit people to work in the hospital that they are unable to because of the lack of housing.
Agreed.
All right, having gone through items 1 through 6, I'd like us to vote on items 1 through 6. Item 1, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 2?
Aye.
Aye. Item 3?
Aye.
Item 4?
Aye.
Item 5?
Aye.
Item 6?
Aye.
Those are all in the affirmative.
All right, so
The additional criteria. The site is suitable for proposed use and the proposed total number of units. This includes adequate vehicular and pedestrian access and the availability of appropriate utilities to serve the intended use, including water, sewage disposal, stormwater disposal, electricity, broadband, and similar utilities. Any thoughts?
I believe it would be.
Well, but for the lack of a sidewalk would be the only possible negative. The character of the site development, the proposed layout and design, and we had pictures of the exterior design that were given to us, of the site shall consider the character of the neighborhood, and this shall include but not limited to the relationship of buildings to the street, the amount and location of screening, parking treatment of yards, setbacks, buffering, and provisions for vehicular and pedestrian access to and within the site. Any thoughts?
My only question would be if we can confirm the walkway.
The walkway. There is a walkway from the parking lot to the front door.
as of the time of the aerial imagery being taken, we don't have any proposed site changes that I have seen. So I'm not aware of any proposed
Okay.
new or removed.
When was that?
2022, I believe, is when the imagery was taken.
Fred's got it on his.
Just check it out.
The character of the buildings and structures, the design of any new buildings or structures, and the modification of existing buildings or structures on the site shall be comparable with the established character of the neighborhood, or shall be compatible with the general design of residential buildings in Plymouth. This shall include, but not limited to, scale, height, massing of the buildings, or structure, the roof line, architecture treatment, front of the street elevation, location of the principal entrance, and the material and colors of the proposed use. I didn't have an insight in terms of color, but we did get the architectural design. Any comments, positive or negative?
It's,
It's been like
Exists.
that
It's
for
been-
decades.
I believe it's white, if my memory serves me proper.
The external impacts of the proposed use on abutting properties and the neighborhood shall be minimized. Okay, this also includes traffic, noise, odors, exterior lighting, and glare. I don't see any externalities that would be generated by this use, negative externalities. Additional criteria, multiple use units in the agricultural zone, this is not applicable. So therefore, of the additional criteria that we have to consider, number one, site suitability,
Suitable.
Suitable.
Yes.
aye,
Aye.
unanimous. Character of the site development,
Aye.
aye. Character of the buildings and the structures,
Aye.
aye. Preservation of natural, cultural, historic, or scenic resources,
Aye.
aye, unanimous. And external impacts,
Aye.
aye. That was unanimous on those criteria as well. I'd like us to now vote on whether the special exception should be granted. All those in favor of granting the special exception, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. The special exception is granted. What would be the next item that we should deal with?
Yeah, so the next part of the application is a couple of specific variance requests that have been rolled into one variance application by the applicant, but the components of the signage package that was provided that require a variance are twofold. The first one is that internally illuminated signage is proposed. There are two instances of internally illuminated signage being proposed based on my review of the the signage plan prepared by Paquette Signs, which are the LED lighted cabinet emergency sign proposed for the wall facing Avery Street. That is a proposed wall sign. And there is also a proposed LED cabinet sign at the main entrance on Highland Street. So those two internally illuminated signs are proposed, and internally illuminated signage, generally speaking, is not permitted in the CI zone.
Those would be on this page, is that correct?
Correct, those are the two. And then if you, apologize, there are not page numbers on this, but if you proceed 1, 2, 3, 4 pages past that in the packet, there's a rendering of those in their environment that shows the proposed placement of those signs, both at one at the main entrance, the cabinet sign, and one on the emergency entrance facing Avery Street. The second count from which a variance is requested is that wall signs are not permitted in the CI zone, and there are a few different wall signs proposed. The first one is that emergency department sign that we just discussed that would be internally illuminated, and then the other two are metal letters and logo, they call them wall signage, on the face of the building facing Highland Street, and then the face of the building facing Avery Street. So that is on the next 2 pages after the renderings of the 2 internally illuminated signs in that signage plan. So those say Spear Memorial Hospital and have the logo next to them, and that is considered a wall sign. So wall signage also not permitted in the CI zone. So a few different signs impacted by this, but broadly speaking, the things that are not permitted are internal illumination of the first 2 signs that I mentioned, and then the wall mounting of the signs, which impacts really 3 of the proposed signs.
Okay. Let's open the hearing on the signs. Go right ahead. Explain to what you want to do and why you want to do it.
Sure. I'll start, but then I'm going to turn it over to Roy Whitaker, who helped us. We have submitted to the town a master sign plan because we really want to increase the visibility of the hospital. We've gotten a number of complaints from patients not being able to find, one, the hospital or the appropriate entrance to go to. And we have numerous entrances off Highland Street and off of Avery Street. I think most particularly troubling for me was when we had a family go to the fire department to ask where the emergency room was because they couldn't find it. And the fire department told me this wasn't the first time that they've had that situation. So this is really an effort to really make it much more visible to individuals that have all been around Plymouth for a long time, but for those that are new to the Plymouth area or visiting the Plymouth area, where their hospital is, where the emergency department is, and then for those that even know where the hospital is, if you have a cardiology appointment, where do you go? What entrance do you go to? Or oncology department, those types of things. So what you have is the entire packet of a much larger plan to enhance all of our signage. And I can turn it over now to Roy.
We may
Oh.
have questions for you.
Okay, sure.
Any questions?
I don't believe so, no.
I do. I'm looking at the signs that are proposed that we have to deal with, which is the main entrance sign and the emergency sign. The word hospital is the smallest word on the sign. So if someone's not from this area and they're looking for the hospital, unless they know that it's Spear, and they're unlikely to do that, why is the word hospital the smallest word?
I don't give that to Roy. I honestly didn't pick up that was the smallest, but it will be enhanced with the wall sign also on the building on that same side, which is much larger, to increase the visibility that that's the hospital.
I don't think that serves the public
So.
as you claim you want to do. That's my personal opinion.
Sure.
I don't know what the other fellows will think, but I don't think that's out of line, out of character with what you thought you wanted to do.
So you're talking about this here?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, I can speak to that.
Sorry.
Do you mind if I speak to that?
Go right ahead.
So the design of that main monument sign proposed to be internally lighted, the logo is based on the hospital's current branding, which can be modified. That's literally just lettering on the sign. So that's a great recommendation that we discuss how to make that word larger. The logic from a sign guy perspective is that the emergency was the red emergency part.
That's a different issue. That's on the back of the building.
No, on the same sign,
Yeah. I see it.
the red part of that same sign
Uh-huh. I see it.
is the wayfinding. That's how you got to go to get to that emergency room. That's kind of the logic there.
Okay. So the answer is that's a marketing technique.
Well, I'm just taking it from their.
It's our current logo. If you looked at our people or any of our advertising, and that's what Roy used, but like you said, we can certainly make some changes to that. Appreciate your recommendation to make the word hospital larger.
The blue, the universal blue H sign for hospital, it's up there now. Is that going to stay as a marker for a hospital, or can that be incorporated in the?
The blue H is on the corner of Avery Street.
Right.
And Highland Street.
Yeah.
What we'd like to do is add red emergency.
Yeah, I
on
saw
top
that
of it,
part. I'm just,
with the blue staying there.
you know, because coming off the interstate, I mean, you're following the blue H sign to get to the hospital, and if you come up Highland Street, you don't see that till you get to the emergency room, which I understand, but if you're not, it's a good point to say, you know, is this the hospital, Spear the hospital? If you're out of town, you aren't going to necessarily know that. But that was my question about the blue, because that's universal. So, just a thought that if that can be incorporated or not, or just, you know, to deal with the fact that what is Spear? I mean, we've lived with it so long, it's like, yeah, what's wrong with you? But that's a good point, being out of town.
Any questions?
No questions. I do I do agree with you. The hospital aspect could be enhanced, enlarged, or whatnot to bring. From what I read earlier, the blue was staying on the post signs. Yeah, you were just adding to those.
Correct.
I'd also like to make something else clear. We have no control whatsoever over the post that has the H on it, nor does the planning board. So what happens to that sign is the selectmen who deal with that issue because it's in the right of way.
So we have been talking with Scott Wheaton, the town manager, on that, and he was going to bring it to the select board for their approval.
If there were, personal thought again, and I know we're not going to legislate on that particular sign because we don't have any jurisdiction there, that's a sign that ought to be lit. That's a sign which people in the middle of the night would need to find. It says emergency, turn here.
You mean the blue H and the red emergency at Avery Corner?
That's only my personal view.
Right on.
If we're trying to get people to find the hospital in the middle of the night with someone that's injured in a car,
I would, may I elaborate?
Sure.
And I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I agree with what I believe your sentiment is where the internally lit sign is at the primary entrance, which is less of a timely matter than if you're coming down Highland, you're gonna see reverse direction to Avery Street, which is just gonna be confusing. And trying to do a U-turn, they're gonna go down to the fire station, realistically. And I think, at least, I agree that the internally lit sign really does belong on the Avery Street entrance. I don't know if that was what you were alluding to, but
I feel that way. We have no control over that sign.
We don't own any of that property on either corner of Avery Street.
I understand. That's why we have no jurisdiction on it. But I'm in total agreement that the internally lit sign that we do have jurisdiction on is likely to cause somebody to go to the fire station again.
Yeah, I mean, it has similar wording on it now, but it's even smaller print.
I know, and you say that it's problematic now.
Well, it is, one, because it's small, but two, yes, if we could find a better way to say, if you just went by it, turn around, we'd love to be able to find that. And that was probably the most challenging part of this sign, to say, how do we, on the sign that we can put up, identify the people that they just gone by it.
All right. Okay. Any other questions on those two signs? Let's talk about the one that's on the top of the page that says emergency.
on the building.
That's on the building itself. And this is problematic in two different ways. It's on the building and it's lit.
It's also bigger.
Than what's there now, for sure.
Yeah.
About 7 inches.
Not by much, but it's bigger.
Yeah, 7 inches taller. One question that if I may,
Sure.
on that, the one concern that I had for the welfare of the neighbors, because that is shooting out towards Avery, is what are the lumens that are going to be used in that to basically, is that going to be keeping the neighbors up at night with the brightness, with the illumination level? Because I know there's at least one house directly across, like green blue house, where I could see that. They aren't here to offer any comment, but I could see that as being a challenge, depending on the illumination.
Yep. So typically we use a standard LED light. We call them a stick because it's LED lights attached to a rod inside the sign. In situations where there's a requirement by the community for specific lumen number, then we set that sign up with the lights behind that red, and then we test the lumens on the outside based on what the requirements are. So we can comply with whatever
We don't
brightness
have
you
any
want.
requirements, do we?
Numerical, specific requirement for lighting of signs, but sometimes that is reviewed under site plan review. You might see a photometric drawing that shows the lumen levels at different areas and the brightness of different fixtures. We don't have one of those in this case, but sometimes the planning board looks at those, and there are ways to find that information or to be provided that information, but we don't have any default guidance that says no more than X.
On either of these signs, did you consider externally lit sign?
We discussed it originally, but the consensus was that this is the,
I mean, you realize we don't have a single internally lit sign short of the Tenny Mountain Highway in the town.
in that zone, yeah. I am aware of
In the
that.
town, other than the Tenny Mountain Highway. Would an externally lit sign be acceptable to you people?
The proposal is for the internally lit, what's acceptable is to what's the client. My studies showed that the research at other hospitals that have similar wayfinding issues or people finding that entrance, that a lighted sign has proved effective for them to get people to that door. Hence the proposal. To shine a light on the faces of the sign is definitely an option that we can consider. It's just based on my experience and the research that I did, it's not going to be, I'm afraid it's not going to be as effective as an internally lighted face.
Any other questions?
I do. Isn't there a lighted sign
That's
current
current.
it's current on the emergency room? Is that internally lit?
Not on the environment.
Oh, it's not.
I think there's a picture of it in this package, actually.
Yeah, well, of course, my ancient mind, I actually thought there was one on
You
there.
always go in the main entrance.
I used to work behind the emergency room sign. But,
Yeah, it's just letters.
it's just letters.
Yep.
I'll be darned. I could have sworn it was lit.
It's the,
As you would shape I went
isn't
to
it just the
morning.
ambulance entrance that's actually labeled?
That's what's currently labeled.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I do have one more question.
You got another question?
Yeah.
Fred's got a question.
Has any neighbor complained, or have you guys talked to anybody across the street as far as having a lit sign there? I mean, that was my only concern, even reading the proposal twice. I said, man, if my bedroom was to that red sign, I would not be happy.
Talking about the main sign on Highland Street?
No, I'm talking about the one off the emergency room sign,
Oh,
which, in my opinion, is actually kind of the most important. When you're scared to death of coming in, you're looking for that, where do I go?
yeah, it's about 300 feet, 350 feet from, because that parking lot is
Yeah,
that deep.
yep.
We also almost buildings across the street.
Oh, that helps.
IT building.
Yeah, okay,
Right.
okay.
The greenhouse that's on the corner of Hawthorne.
The Kay's property?
Yes, we own that one, we own, what was the doctor there? Archibald?
Archibald. Yeah, Archibald
building,
Place, yeah.
And then the one on the corner with the actors.
Pediatrics.
However, I would point out to board, when we grant a variance, it's forever.
Yeah, I know, I'm just,
Who owns those properties is not necessarily
it doesn't matter.
forever.
Yep, yep.
All right. You want to talk about this, discuss this?
Sure. I think my feelings on it are somewhat, well, I'll preface it with definitely understandable of the need, and definitely agree that finding the right space can be disorientating. With that much said, it does feel somewhat like Laconia, based off of the, and it saddens me for the overall aesthetic of the town, coming up Highland, with something of this internally lit, which I understand the reasoning behind, also the internally lit along the emergency. It feels like a piece of the small town is potentially moving away. So, not necessarily relevant, but that would be my comments.
Fred, do you have any thoughts?
I'm kind of in Malik's space too. I mean, particularly the emergency room. I mean, it's, when you're in an emergency in the middle of the night, you're looking, and to be able to focus on that. I mean, I'm more concerned about that sign than I am the ones on the road. I mean, the road, I agree, to come up to Highland Street, and then there's these lit signs that are internally lit is a little, it's certainly not. You said no other space in town except Tenny Mountain has that. And if there's a way that we can make sure that people turning into the hospital, either entrance, knows where to go for an emergency, is part of the paramount thing that the hospital, I think, really wants to do. Secondly is just, where do you, it is still confusing because you got the main entrance and you got the back, it's, and that's the way it was. It was like that in 1949,
That would, not to cut you off, but that's actually probably one of my largest concerns would be, you see the internally lit, and yes, the emergency does say next left on Avery Street, but that's not when you're in the heat of the moment. I'm not sure if that's what you're going to see, or you're just going to see the turn left here, and not really absorb the rest of it.
Okay. Joseph, which page will we find the criteria listed on?
Yep, so there's two different spots you could find. So if you wanted to read the applicant's response to each of the criteria on the application form, which is got the received December 16th, 2025 application to the zoning board. The variance application begins on page 3 of that, and it begins, a variance is requested from Article 408, Section 5. The board could do some findings of fact separately for each type of request, or for them all at once. That's kind of, the board may want to consider.
I don't know. We haven't found it yet. Help us find it. The criteria.
Yep, so
Which packet does it look like?
Yep, so that is actually on the application form itself.
To your left. Yep, you just touched
Yep.
it.
So on page 3 of that,
Yep. Yep. Let's talk about each item, and then we'll go back. How's that? The granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because, and they've put in on this page.
I gotta find it on this damn thing, or I'll share yours.
Okay. So we have to fill in our own.
yeah, and if you want just the criteria without the applicant's response to it, that is back on the staff report. So the staff report dated December 30th again, but those are on page 4 of the Zoning Board of Adjustment staff report. And that's the actual criteria themselves, not the question form on the application. So those began just after the end of the additional special exception criteria
Yeah.
for multifamily.
Just before the map.
Yep.
Okay. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest. Let's separate the two things and talk about first the internally lit sign, and then we'll talk about the emergency room sign. Those are the two different ones we have to look
And
at.
then there's also
There's
the wall
also-
signage on the faces of the
Wall signs,
buildings.
too.
And correct me if I'm wrong, aren't we also looking at the non-lit modular sign?
The big ones, yes.
Yeah. And then also, are we not looking at the additions to the H posts as well?
We can't
So
look at that.
That one,
Not
yeah, the
looking at
H
that one.
That's not
post
ours.
is under the select board's jurisdiction, and then the reason that they have not requested anything for the freestanding signs that are proposed is because they're proposing those as a part of a master sign plan to the planning board. So that's kind of a parallel process that they have moved forward, but the ones that cannot be approved, that couldn't be approved under a master sign plan would be wall signs or anything internally illuminated. So the two wall signs that say Spear Memorial Hospital on the two faces of the building, and the emergency sign for being wall mounted, and then the main sign on Highland Street and the emergency sign for being internally illuminated are zoning non-compliant signs.
Well, the first thing we have to look at is the public interest, and let's talk about, at this point, the internally lit sign, two-sided. I have concerns about it being in the public interest. To start, as an example, for downtown internally lit signs. Further, I have a problem with the word hospital being so small, and I agree with them. It's a marketing approach, and what we're looking here is utility, not marketing, in my view. So I'm not sure this is in the public interest to have the sign as designed.
I see both. The CI district, does that extend down to downtown Main Street?
So the CI district includes the hospital, it includes much of Plymouth State University campus, it includes the Plymouth Regional High School, and it also includes it's a strange shaped zone, to be honest with you, in some ways, because it extends from the hospital along that side of Highland Street down to roughly where the science building of Plymouth State University is, and then it follows Plymouth State University campus more or less north to all the way past the White Mountain Student Apartments to the National Guard Armory, and then it wraps around the back of the single-family residential zone. If you'd like, I could show it on the screen if you wanted to see the shape.
Yeah, show it on the screen. But from following you, it did not include Main Street.
It generally does not include Main Street except for Town Hall, Wilson Street, the church, and the post office. So that this small segment of Main Street. So the CI zone is the green zone that you see here on this map. And so you can see Spear Memorial Hospital is this one that I've just highlighted in yellow. So this is Highland Street, this part that is green colored. And then this portion to the south of Highland Street is Belknap Hall and the science building at Plymouth State University. Across the street from that, you've got, I guess I'll call it the main core of campus.
Yeah.
You've got a few buildings on Highland and Main Street there at the corner, kind of the civic side of the town common. The town common itself is also kind of the end of the zone, and then it follows campus all the way north It includes the White Mountain Student Apartments are here in this sort of, we'll call it the middle section. It then goes up as far as the Armory, and then it wraps around the back side of the purple single-family residential zone to also include the high school and elementary school. So that's the general shape of the CI zone.
As far as the main street, it does not extend to the business side of the main street, however, on the,
Right.
on any of those.
Goes along through the college. Right.
Yeah. Now, remind me, this would not set a precedence where PSU could come and want lights everywhere.
So PSU generally, if it's a part of their operation of the university, would be exempt, generally speaking, as a governmental use of land. So broadly speaking, as long as they let the town know what they're doing, they really are exempted from our local regulation, unless they were doing something that was not a part of their governmental purpose. So if they were to just develop a piece of their land for a private purpose, and put a gas station there, most likely that would not be a governmental use of land if it were like a private, business they were running. But if it were a gas station for university vehicles in service of their governmental mission, it probably would be exempt. So it's a little bit nuanced, but broadly speaking, they're exempt, I guess, is what I need to say.
We can come back to this one. Let's go on to number 2. The spirit of the ordinance would be observed. The spirit of the ordinance is there'd be no sign.
Yeah. The answer is no. I mean, the ordinance says that there are no internally lit signs in
Right.
this zone, so the spirit to answer that is no.
That's correct. Yeah.
Agreed.
The third one, I want to point out, too, that we have the option of approving something with conditions, and those conditions could involve changes that we want to see made to what's been offered, if we choose to go that route. The third one, granting the variance would do substantial justice. Later on, I'll talk again about that one, but I don't know if that means fairness. We haven't granted one of these before. So in terms of what's fair, we can't point at one and say, they got it, therefore these folks should get it. Granting the variance will not diminish the value of surrounding properties. I think there's your issue about the shining of the light. Would that have an effect on neighbors' property? And the last one is the hardship issue. Would not result in an unnecessary hardship. Generally, that has been held to mean it's something that's related to land related, not a man-made problem, but something that's unique to the property that makes it really unusable without some adaptation that might violate the zoning ordinance. I would suggest the following, and you can tinker with it. If the sign were externally lit, and it were to emphasize the issue of hospital rather than the logo or whatever, I think it would probably be in the public interest to have the sign. That's just my view.
Yeah. You have a sign to tell where the hospital is. The key, just my personal opinion, the real important thing is that the folks that really have a medical problem know exactly where to go in a state of panic. That's the worst case scenario. So externally lit so they can see it and it's well lit and designed in a way that really was well seen. I think that can be done without having an internally lit sign and would meet that piece of the criteria. I mean, I'm really on the fence with the lighted emergency sign.
Yeah, we'll be there in a minute.
Yeah, okay. So,
How do you
So
feel, Mike?
I definitely want to have higher wayfinding aspect for the people that are in need. My challenge is that I don't know if this actually would suit that purpose or meet that need. And there's two aspects. So, for instance, you mentioned externally lit. Externally lit with potentially some reflective wording or something like that might do better than what's existing, because existing, as I was driving down here, I actually took a moment to look at it, and it's very matte, it's worn, and so updating it could meet the purpose to the same degree as this. I do find a question, and there's no way of knowing the answer unless it was done, but even with this, if I'm in an emergency situation, I can see myself in the heat of the moment turning when I see this,
The word emergency.
specifically with a left-hand turn arrow, even though it's saying next left on Avery Street. I don't know if that's going to have more people pulling into the main entrance. Back to the internally lit aspect of it, it is going to be the only one in town. Nothing personal, but I don't find it aesthetically pleasing or in line with current the town's aesthetic. Is just my 2 cents of feedback. It feels very different than Plymouth to me, and in that. And I do think replacing the whole branding up top and just saying hospital, potentially, or Spear very small, I don't know, but making a hospital the primary would be at least one step in that direction. But again, yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents.
I agree with Malik. I think that given, some of the previous, questionnaires and so forth, people really want Plymouth to stay small town character and so forth, and it's been an effort to keep the stuff on Tenny Mountain Highway commercial and stuff in town small townish, and I do think the internally lit signs would not be in concert with that.
Yeah, well, the problem I have is that it's forbidden.
So, yeah, so I think that's pretty clear that the internally lit signs, particularly on this particular application, is not necessarily what we would support.
How would you feel about, with conditions? Like an externally lit sign?
Oh, yeah.
How would you feel about that?
I'd be fine. I mean, I think the goal, and I think all three of us share that, having better wayfinding for people in distress in their time of need, undoubtedly. That, I think all three of us can agree on that at least.
Yeah.
But personally, whether you agree or not, I don't know if this actually meets that need, and further, it's forbidden and it's not in the
All right.
town's.
Well, I'm going to propose then that we consider a condition that the sign be externally lit, that it be more directive towards the hospital, and that it not confuse people relative to what to do in an emergency. Now, I'm not going to design their sign.
I was gonna say, and next? Yeah.
We don't
No.
we don't need a marketing ploy. We need people to find the right place. Pardon me?
We don't need to outline the design.
No.
None of us are designers, but
No.
All right. If those conditions were adopted, could we say that the variance will not be contrary to the public interest?
Yes, that's true.
yes.
Okay. With those conditions, we can say it's in the public interest to move forward with the sign.
So would those be conditions that it is externally lit
Externally lit,
and that it is
more directive towards the hospital rather than the word spear, and that they figure out how to deal with people who are looking for the emergency entrance. If that sign's gonna deal with that issue.
provides.
All in favor of number 1, if that's the case?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that would, we all agree on that one. The spirit of the ordinance would be observed. I think if it's externally lit, we can claim the spirit's met. Can you agree with that?
I agree.
I agree.
Okay, then we all agree on that too. It would do substantial justice. Well, we have nothing to compare it with, so,
It would do justice to the people who can't find it currently.
it'll help people who can't find it. Right, okay. We all agree that that's criteria is met.
Yes.
Yes.
The variance will not diminish the value of surrounding property. I think by going to externally lit, perhaps we have ameliorated.
Yes.
Will we not nullify the need for a variance?
No,
Because currently it's pre-existing as externally lit.
no, they're gonna increase the size as well.
Oh, okay, okay.
And the fact that it has a variance now is really irrelevant, because we've had to deal with this application.
So so the Highland Street sign is the one that you're referencing that is currently externally lit.
Correct.
And that one is a freestanding sign. So they have proposed at least, and I know this is another complicating factor. So if they are not internally illuminating it, then a freestanding sign could be approved by the planning board under the master sign plan that they have proposed. But the internal illumination
Has
really
to be with us.
exactly. So that's just another element.
What
to
about the
this.
increase in size?
So the increase in size, the master sign plan provision allows the planning board to waive size requirements and other requirements for freestanding signs only. But specifically only applies to the freestanding signs. So any type of sign that is not a freestanding sign, so internal illumination is considered not under the freestanding sign requirements. It's sort of a separate requirement. So wall signs are not covered under it, nor is the internal illumination. But if they do propose a master sign plan to the planning board, they could have the other freestanding sign requirements waived.
Would we be better just to deny the variance and send it back to the planning board on this sign?
So if they don't get the variance on this sign, if we're taking this sign as sort of one sign at a time, the Highland Street sign, they would still be able to propose increasing the size of the sign under the master sign plan. They could not propose it as internally illuminated.
As internally limited.
That would be the key difference with this one. Each sign kind of has its own set of factors with it, but that is a factor with this one.
Currently, it's
Is
downlit.
Is the only criteria that we have to decide internally or externally lit for this sign?
For this one particular sign, that's correct. The other two have other aspects, but
They can still go back to the planning board and adjust the current freestanding sign. Now, currently it's downlit, if I am correct. If they chose to uplift light it, whatever the right terminology is for that, instead of downlit. Would that change any needs for,
So the planning board would need to look at that under the site plan review regulations. The site plan review regulations generally call for lighting to be downcast, but the site plan review regulations, the planning board has the authority to waive, so waiver of a site plan review requirement would not require a zoning board variance or a zoning board approval. So I would say the typical standard that the planning board looks at for any kind of lighting proposed on a site plan is for it to be downcast, but they do also have the authority to waive that provision.
would they need a variance or anything for an uplit?
They wouldn't need a variance for it. It would probably be a site plan review waiver of that site
I
plan.
think what you're saying, Joseph, having decided already that we don't want an internally lit sign, that we have rejected the variance, is that not accurate?
Yeah, so if the board formalizes that with the saying the variance as applied to this sign is not approved, it might be, we can try to list out some specific additional facts, but if that is the case, then yes, they would not be, and that's the read that I'm getting on the summary of the criteria, then yes.
Is that going to affect, because they lumped everything together, the other wall signs, not the emergency, but or can
Yes.
we deny the internally lit but still look at these wall signs?
They did propose them all together. I would say that the board would have to make that decision about whether to
Lump them or not?
lump them or not. I would say since they are each asking for something a little bit unique, it's not exactly what they've asked for here. What they've asked for here is a variance for all of their signs that they have proposed that require some sort of variance. I don't think it's out of the realm of the possibility that the board could decide to look at each of the, I guess you could call them really 4 signs separately. But I would say the board would have to decide whether that they feel that's appropriate or whether the board feels it should all be looked at as one.
Thank you.
With that in mind, I think we should have a motion to deny the variance with our recommendations about the content of the sign. That we're not against having a sign, but that it be externally lit.
What about the wall signs?
Pardon me?
Is that motion to deny the internally lit and
Just that
separate
one,
them?
just that one sign.
Just that one? Not even, okay.
Right, just that one sign.
Or do it one
So we're
side.
separating.
We're separate.
Okay.
We're separating.
I'll make that motion.
Want to second it?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. You need any more on that, Joseph?
No, I mean, if there are any additional facts that the board has, like that we can list with that's always good. So I have basically the board is not opposed to the sign in concept, and then that an externally lit sign would be more in keeping with the neighborhood and the character of the area.
Yep.
So but if there are any other facts that you'd like to be specifically lumped in with that decision, I can.
I think the ordinance is pretty clear about what is allowed and what
Yeah,
isn't.
where is the actual ordinance?
Yep. So, the staff report does cite the ordinance, but the ordinance itself, section 4, Article 4, section 408.4 is the one that states that internally illuminated signs are not permitted in CI zone.
Will you reference that in the findings of fact?
Can do that, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think it also note the fact that no other internally lit sign short of the Tenny Mountain Highway comes to mind.
Is Domino Pizza?
What's that?
Is Domino's
They have-
Pizza? That's internally or externally lit?
I think it's internally lit.
I think so too.
Well, that counts as the Tenny Mountain
That's
Highway.
Tenny Mountain. I mean, you have
It's right next to
uh,
Hannaford's there, yeah.
Burger King too, I believe, but
Yep.
that's the corner of Tenny
All
Mountain.
right. Let's move on to the one that says emergency.
And so did the board want to
Yep.
vote on that motion first, or go vote on them all
In
after?
favor of that denial, say aye.
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 Aye. It's unanimous.
Thank you. So I'll note that, and then,
Keep us on track there.
yeah, so the next one, do you want to do same as you did for the previous one, go
Dealing
through
with
the
emergency,
criteria?
yeah.
All right.
The first item is the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, and we're dealing with the emergency internally lit sign.
We're still back at the same bugaboo that, it's
Well-
internally lit.
Yep.
We want to have really good, and can that same functionality be obtained with an externally lit sign?
Yep.
I fully support as big and as easy to see as you can at night and in bad weather. Can that be done externally without the internal piece?
And then this one also requires the variance for internal illumination and wall mounting.
Right. Two criteria, yeah. Well, my heart tells me we ought to approve this in some way. Now, how to do that, I'm not sure. Because I think what Malika said before is we want to facilitate people knowing exactly where to turn into in all kinds of weather. And I would say, number one, public interest is high on that agenda.
Since we're starting a new one, may I ask a question of
Sure.
the sign maker?
Go
Can we
ahead.
ask him that?
You're doing it anyway.
Okay, thank you. Oh, no, I wouldn't if you said no. I am in no way a sign maker or an expert. But when I look at these, and I mean no offense, but these signs do seem like they are budget conscious compared to potentially other options that would be as eye-catching in nighttime and inclement weather. Are there other options that you know of as an expert that would suit that need?
So my engagement with Spear has been based on 3 basic objectives, which started out on this exterior sign plan document. They didn't include a budget at all, and thank you for asking that question because I'm happy to spend their money.
That is not my intention.
But so the answer to answer your question is the sign business. It's like Disney World. If you can think of it, we can make it happen. The objective here was to serve what is the best way to show the public that this is the entrance to the emergency room.
Okay.
Well, while you're there, can that be done with external lighting?
I don't think it can be done. My professional opinion is it can't be done as effectively. But yes, it can be done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you think, Fred?
I have another question. why, you're suggesting the sign's gonna be larger, not by a lot, but is there any particular reason for that?
Ask the question, say it again, please.
The emergency room sign, the emergency sign is, what, 4 inches taller than what's up there now?
Well, we don't
Um,
have a sign that says emergency on the building right now.
Oh, okay, just says ambulance entrance, okay.
And
Which that,
Ambulance, right?
I did see that though. There was a reference to a pre-existing, but I think that was a different sign.
Okay, it's different, that's why I got confused, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking,
But
okay.
to answer your question, it was designed based on site distance metrics,
Yep.
which are readily published in Google, you can, for letter height and readability
Yep.
from a distance.
Yep.
And I'm looking at Avery Street, 300 feet
Yep.
back.
Yeah, I mean, that's I kind of figured, but I just read it, it was, I don't know how I confused it too. I thought, they got a sign there already, just want to make it that much bigger? And it kind of made sense, but, thank you. That answers my question. There is no sign.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Okay. I have one last question.
Go ahead, sure.
Why along the the wall that's parallel to Avery, rather than the portico that comes across that you drive under?
because the entrance to the emergency department varies depending on time of day.
Yeah.
So you go in the portico during day.
Day. Yeah. Yeah.
PM, I think it is. Everybody goes to the ambulance entrance.
Okay.
So that's why you don't make sense between the two.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Wow, wonder why that wasn't addressed.
Abby?
Stick digging, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole.
Well, again, the spirit of the ordinance is you can't do it, but I don't know what to say.
If we say it cannot be internally lit,
Right.
that's
It
issue
goes back
number-
to the planning board.
Goes back to the planning board, and then the issue of being wall mounted is the other piece, correct?
Which is us.
Which is us.
So the planning board couldn't approve this sign in either internally or externally illuminated, so it's also the wall mounted, as you mentioned. The two aspects of, or the two dimensions here is the one that it's internally illuminated and the two that it's wall mounted.
If we were to put a condition that it be externally lit, but grant the variance for wall mount, because of where it is,
Yep,
is that, I'm just throwing it out,
we can do that.
just as a thought of,
My only, and maybe I'm being contradictory to my, but this one I feel it is more appropriate, and it actually would be serving the purpose of intent. For me, my only concern is the brightness
yeah,
to the people across the street, but I do think that is easily rectified also, possibly with, I don't know the amount of lumens that would, but I think you could easily make it visible to somebody driving in the night, in the rain, or snow, sleet, whatever, and have them catch, okay, I need to go here, and not be keeping the neighbors up at night because it's so bright. That I think is, and again, this is just my 2 cents, but I would lean towards that one. I don't think it,
internally lit sign for that one.
the only objective, or the only hurdle I see is the fact that no, but that's why we're listening to this case, is for the variance.
another thing to consider is the distance from the road. You'd want to have something that stood out
Yeah.
because of the distance from the road. It's not as though it's 10 feet away, it's off. So the size and the illumination, I think, is sort of critical,
Yeah.
all right? I think that would be in the public interest,
Oh,
which is the first criteria.
yeah.
Agreed.
The spirit of the ordinance would not strictly be observed. I think the public interest outweighs the spirit. Spirit would be, people ought to get to the emergency room. There's nothing to compare it with relative to justice. I think Malik's comment deals with diminishing surrounding property values.
Yep.
And that has to do with the lumens. And if we put a condition in there that the lumens be minimal to accomplish the objective,
Yes.
we can resolve that issue. And literal enforcement, it isn't a hardship. I think we have to step by the hardship rule. And just bite the bullet on it. Because of the unique circumstance.
Yes.
The distance from the road creates a hardship. I'll go that far. How's that?
Well, and it's
Joseph.
around the corner.
Yeah.
It's a weird,
Okay.
they've been stuck with really a tough,
All right. Did you get the two conditions, Joseph?
So the first one that I have is that lumens should be minimal needed to accomplish the objectives,
Right, considering the distance to the road.
considering the distance to the road. And then,
The size is needed too because of the distance to the road.
so size shall be the minimal needed to accomplish objectives. Is that what I'm hearing? So the same condition for the size and lighting?
I think as within the application. Approved as within the application.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Got it.
Okay, let's just run down through the criteria. Is it in the public interest that we do this that way?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. We all agree. Is the spirit of the ordinance observed? I think it is.
Yes.
Yes.
We agree. We will do substantial justice is not really an issue, but I agree. It's if the criteria is met. It won't diminish the value of surrounding properties if the condition is met. And that has to do with the luminosity. Spell that one out, Joseph.
Yeah. That's a good one.
And little enforcement, there's a hardship there because of the distance to the road, and weather conditions are limiting, and they're not gonna move the building closer just so they can have a sign. So, I think we've met the hardship criteria as well, agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay. All in favor of granting the variance relative to the emergency sign with the conditions that we've put forward? Say aye.
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 Aye. All right, now we're down to the external signs, is that not correct?
That's correct. The two wall-mounted, they call them logo
Cast
and letters, I believe. And one is on the face of the building that faces Highland Street, and one is on the face of the building that faces Avery Street. And these are depicted in the renderings. Both, as I read this, are not proposed to be internally lit. They are just cast aluminum, stud-mounted. One set on stucco, so it sounds like one set on brick. So it sounds like they are installed into the face of the building, aluminum, similar to, I believe, what they have today, but these would be larger and in different locations. That is the metal lettering.
You want to speak to that? The aluminum sign? The necessity to change?
Did you want to speak?
Yeah, why do we have to change what we already have as the wall-mounted signs?
It's again to identify the building that it's a hospital from the road. The one existing lettering is all the way at the end of the driveway near the small porte cochere. You can't see it from Highland, so it's building identification and branding. The sign world that we live in, we're kind of used to conventions, and institutions such as hospitals typically have such signage that identifies it in an institutional way, kind of like the Enterprise Center. It's got that institutional look with those letters on the side of the building. Kind of a similar take on it. Yep.
Any questions?
There are Spearmint hospitals already on. Yeah, and this is going to go up higher and bigger.
This is going to be on the end of the building facing Highland Street.
Yeah, there's a rendering in the package as well.
And the size is to be determined. The size in the diagram has been laid out.
This is the parking lot. We're looking from Highland Street. There's nothing on that. There's nothing on that wall right now.
Correct.
It's got those smaller ones over the main entrance, right? Yeah, you can't see those. This is going to replace that to really say this is the hospital. This will be more effective than ones on there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
This is going to work.
And then on the
And then
back
the other one, just the backside of what used to be 19 Avery Street.
Yep.
And the size would be, on the Highland Street size, the memorial, the longest word would be 112 inches. And on the Avery side, the longest word memorial would be 88 inches.
Joseph, what is the current standard that's being violated?
So it is that there are no wall signs permitted in the CI zone.
No wall signs at all.
Correct. So wall signage is listed as not permitted in the CI zone.
Okay, thank you, sir. Well, we're going to step around this one. One could argue that a variance was given for an external wall sign previously, and it's ineffective now because of its location.
It's not that hard of an argument.
Tommy?
That's not that hard of an argument to make.
No.
Although you said before, a variance in the past, there's no bearing for
It
variance
isn't.
now.
No, but they're stuck with it in the wrong place.
In the wrong place.
I think the public, we can start off with the public interest is served by identifying as a hospital.
Yes.
Agreed.
Agreed.
The spirit of the ordinance is the difficult step. Because the ordinance is clear.
Joseph, could you read the verbiage of that ordinance, or is it listed in here
So are you talking about the spirit of the ordinance?
in relation to wall signs?
So the spirit of the ordinance is, there are a few ways to assess what the spirit of the ordinance is. So the wall signage, the signage section, section 408 does have a purpose statement. So I can read that if you'd like. It says, the purpose of this article is to regulate the erection of signs for the purposes of protecting public safety. These regulations allow for the presentation of information and advertising in an orderly, effective, aesthetic, and safe manner. Restrictions on type, number, location, and size of signs protect the public from hazardous and distracting displays, maximize traffic safety, and create an attractive environment which is conducive to business, industry, and tourism. Further, the purpose of this article is also to preserve scenic vistas, discourage development from competing with the natural environment, to promote the character of the town as a rural and historic community, and to protect residential areas from intrusive commercial activity. These purposes are consistent with the goals of the town's master plan. So that's the purpose statement that we've adopted for the signage section of the zoning ordinance.
With that
I think.
being read, I
think it
think
meets-
that
I think
actually
it
meets
meets
that. So,
It's
All
like,
right, so we
Yeah.
can find that the
I think it
spirit
meets-
of the ordinance as outlined in the purpose has
is,
been met.
has been met.
Substantial justice, this is not a business proposition as much as it is a public interest.
This is public interest.
interest. This shouldn't diminish neighboring properties.
No.
not at all.
Should have no effect on neighboring properties. And the building is located where it is, and the visibility needs to be enhanced, particularly from Highland Street. So I think we can say, let's do them one at a time. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest. We agree on that?
Agreed.
That's unanimous. The spirit of the ordinance is observed.
Agreed.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Under the purpose that Joseph read.
Yep.
It would do substantial justice. There's really nothing to compare it with other than the fact that this is a public interest issue rather than a business interest. The variance will not diminish the surrounding properties, should have no effect on
Agreed.
surrounding
Agreed.
property. Agreed. And literal enforcement would be an unnecessary hardship because of the location of the building.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed? That's unanimous? We have a vote on, to grant this variance. We have a motion?
I make a motion to grant the variance in relation to the wall-mounted letter and logo signage facing Highland Street.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay.
And
Did we
with that,
properly vote on the other thing? Have we voted on all three other things that we should have voted on?
There's a fourth. There's the same, and I was actually just about to say we could basically make the same statements for
The fourth
the
sign.
fourth sign. The only difference with that one is this one does exist. They're proposing to enlarge it on the Avery Street side.
Yeah.
But I think it's,
It'll accomplish all the same objectives. So that'll be a ditto, almost. All in favor of that?
aye.
That's unanimous as well.
right. So we've been through special exception for the multifamily conversion of the office building was approved. We had the denial of the first variance for the main sign on Highland Street being internally illuminated. We had approval of the variance for internal illumination and wall mounting of the emergency department sign facing Avery Street. And we had approval of variances for the two logo and letters wall signs facing Highland and Avery. So that's my based on my review, that appears to be what the board was tasked with.
Agreed.
Everybody is in agreement.
Agreed. That's what we did.
All right.
That's your answer. A lot of work. Thank you. Are you ending your career? Are you retiring?
I am planning on retiring later this spring, yes.
I heard that. Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy it.
I'll have to turn to the two of you for recommendations of how to retire.
It's true. I mean,
Join the ZBA.
I don't
To use
live in
another
Plymouth.
member.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
now we're going to revert back to the minutes.
Feel pretty good about what we came up with.
I do too.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about it at all.
And I think there are definitely
And
some
you'll know how to
other
advise the
options.
planning board.
I will. I'll write all of this up, and I'll get in touch with you to come up with the notices of decision. I'll draft something and send that over, and then I will also let the planning board know when they go back to the planning board of this, and the planning board will have to incorporate that into what they review, because they'll need to make sure that they're aligning any of their decisions with the understanding that the ZBA has granted certain variances and special exceptions. So they should essentially be free to, once they get all of their special site plan review materials together, the only real change they would have to make is that one internal illumination. Then they can bring that to the planning board, and the planning board will have to review and make sure they have all the information needed. That's why the planning board didn't accept the application at its first meeting. They felt that there was more information needed for the site plan review, but they didn't express any concerns with any of these other issues. They said, the ZBA will have to be approached for this set of requests, but otherwise, no specific issues were identified other than the completeness on the planning board side.
Well, they'll need advice, though, on the conditions that we've toyed with,
Yes.
in
Yep.
terms of where our problems lie. I have a problem with the messaging.
Yeah.
No, I agree with
They've
that.
got a
too.
real sticky problem. I mean, just the whole way at the entrance to that hospital.
And there's no way to resolve it other than,
Yeah,
Out of curiosity, and I know this, I've always thought since I've moved here, why don't they build a road
around the back
around the side that goes around that connects with the emergency? I mean,
there is a road back there because they had to build a special one in order to back an MRI unit in there.
It's a service road.
It's a service road, so when the
but
MRI.
it doesn't go from the end of the
No,
main
it
parking
goes-
lot.
Doesn't connect.
It doesn't connect. You got on the street, and go all the way to
Yeah.
the corner of Avery, and then come in that way.
Yeah,
In fact, there's sort of a cliff there.
Yeah.
there is, but you could build it up.
They own my house on that corner. They could just level it and put it in. Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
We have to approve the minutes of 3 different sets of minutes. July 1st, July 12th, 17th, excuse me, and November 24th.
the one that I was present for, the only thing that I saw was you made which one was it? Must have been the first. For 3 Lakes, you said I was not at the prior meeting where it was, Hammond was not present at the previous approval, though the voices that he is familiar with the case. As my memory serves, I was familiar with the property, not with the case itself.
And that was for the 7-1.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Did a lot of work on that, didn't we?
Did. That was my. So I move we accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's a vote.
All right. I do have one piece of other business, if this is a good time to mention it.
Depends what it is.
It's very
Such
very
a loaded
quick.
question.
Very quick, I promise. So the only other business that I just wanted to bring up, since we're starting a new year, David Kent and Malik Hammond's terms are up for renewal this year, as per my records that I am maintaining. So it would be necessary to ask sometime prior to April, ask the select board for a reappointment. The terms are 3 years. They're renewable with no limitations. But April, the 1st of April is when terms start and end.
Remind me, I had the letter saved somewhere. Can I just change the date on the letter? And
I don't see why not. I mean, the select
We have
board,
to do it in writing, is that what you're saying?
there does
Yes.
have, yes, there does have to be some written notification to the select board.
then we had to go to the select board meeting, correct?
Yeah, I would say that's totally your discretion if you want to. I would say for reappointments, it's not quite as common. When
it's
someone's
not.
already serving to go, whereas asking for a new
You go?
appointment.
I don't think I ever went, except this last meeting.
So, where do I send the letter to?
So you can send it to myself and or Scott Whedon.
Okay.
And either I'll pass it to Scott to give to the select board at their next meeting, or Scott can just present it to them at their next meeting, whenever you submit it.
So in theory, tonight I could go home, email you and Scott
Yep,
a copy of the letter with the date changed, and then be done?
absolutely.
Okay.
And
I'm not going to do it tonight.
yeah, no, you've got plenty of time. You've got several months. First is when terms turn over.
Okay.
And also Tom McLaughlin is not here this evening, but his term as an alternate also ends this year. So we'll have to just let him know of that as well, that if he would like to renew that, he would have to ask the select board for a renewal as well.
Not to throw more on you, but I guess that's what I'm doing. Can you email Tom and let
Yeah,
him
I
know
can
that?
email Tom
Okay.
and give him a heads up. So those are, we have 3 that end this year, including Tom's, and my records show that Peter and Stephanie both have terms expiring in 2027. So
And I remember Peter saying something about where he's moving over to Bridgewater, where he won't be eligible any longer.
Oh,
I know that hasn't happened yet, but do you have do you know anything about the timeline on that?
I don't have any information about that. No.
But he did
If that time does come, he can
What's
just.
that?
He did say that.
Yeah, I think 2 meetings ago or something like
Yeah.
that.
If that time does come, he can certainly just send a letter, outlining, I will no longer be serving. That's fine. Then we can just stick it in the file. But I don't have any indication or information on that at this point.
We haven't had any more parties of interest, have we?
Not at this time, no. Certainly, if anybody has folks that they know who are interested in getting more involved in the zoning board, they would certainly be welcome to move forward and either, if there is at some point an opening, but there are alternate seats available currently. If someone wanted to, start getting involved, that's a great way to start getting a feel for the board.
If Peter moves, whenever that time, it might not be for another year anyways, I don't know, but when that happens, and if Tom is no longer an alternate, as I believe he's expressed before, we'd be down one person and down an alternate, correct?
We would, yeah, which would be, really, we want to have 5 able,
You need real people.
yeah,
Gotta have it.
yeah. And I hope,
Out of curiosity, not to cut you off, and this just because I'm fairly new to everything, even though it's been 3 years. Has there ever been an advertisement, per se?
we've
I even
done,
spoke at town meeting.
yeah. We've done, that has been effective. We've had, we put it in the town newsletter sometimes. We haven't done that really recently. I think the last time was probably right about when you joined, maybe, that we put out a sort of a big
What about
push.
someone from the planning board?
Yeah, I did bring this up, or we brought this up maybe probably a little less than a year ago, asking if any planning board members would like to, because we did have a member of the planning
Crossover.
board serving here, and we don't currently. So no one stepped forward at that time, but I can renew
Please.
the request to them and ask if they would like to designate someone. I think that would be another place we could look, and then we could even put out in the newspaper. Something that's been done in the past. We haven't done that really recently, but can always do that.
I mean, I'll admit that it's not as much fun as planning, because we have, frankly, to say no to people sometimes.
And it is, it's as of course you all know, it's a quasi-judicial board, so it is a little bit of a different role than the planning board. It's very important. It's, kind of the
We
one of
gotta
the,
have it.
we have to. It's a fundamental part of our ability to have zoning in the first place, is to have this body, and also to make sure everybody gets their, fair and substantial,
Due process.
Due process, exactly. So, it's really important. But though I will say the planning board is switching over to elected this year, so
See how
perhaps
that goes. Yeah.
perhaps some folks who might not, if someone were interested in getting involved, but not in running for an elected seat, perhaps they might start to consider the zoning board as still being an appointed body.
Well, I would like to thank you guys tonight, because this was not an easy chore.
Yeah, thank you.
I thought, and superficially, you say, oh, this is like a no-brainer. I forgot about I didn't realize the non-internally illuminated signs. I said, oh, man. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, this was tough.
I felt good about it.
I think the outcome was good.
Oh, I think that it was very reasonable. Yeah.
We're not supposed to be reasonable. It's supposed to be just. Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Do we have any more minutes we gotta do?
Oh, I make a
Anything else?
motion to
Any new
close it.
business?
Yeah, we've got 2 more meeting minutes to approve, don't we?
Didn't we approve them all in one lump?
Oh, we did it all at once, the July 17th one that I wasn't at? And then there was the one in
He
November.
listed all three, didn't
We
he?
did all 3?
That was what I wrote in my
good.
recording of the motion.
I wasn't at 2 of them either, so
Okay.
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned.